Ross.
All right,
I'm going to bring Ross in after a quick word from FanDuel. Guys, FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook, and they have a new partnership on Fridays to make your kickoff to the weekend even better. It's called NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts, so before tip-off. Check the FanDuel app, see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern Time. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA's Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. With that, we got Ross Tucker joining the show. And Ross, we were just having a discussion that I want you to kind of chime in on about why there may be a little bit of a disconnect between how Cleveland fans feel at the end of Kevin Stefanski's tenure, and I think a lot of people were ready to move on, and then a lot of people in the national media and from around the country who are calling Kevin, or at least were calling Kevin, the top coaching candidate on the market before we got the John Harbaugh news yesterday. Can you kind of give us a little insight on why there may be a bit of a disconnect there?
Yeah, it's not unique to Cleveland at all. I mean, that's the exact same way Steelers fans feel about Mike Tomlin. It's the same way, quite frankly, a lot of Ravens fans felt about John Harbaugh. I think a couple things. One is it's a little different when you watch a team week in and week out.
That's right.
Every single snap, as opposed to, from a 30,000-foot view. Also, there's always going to be some level of fatigue with anybody that's been there. Kevin was there a long time. Certainly Tomlin and John Harbaugh have been in their respective places, or Harbaugh was, for a long time. So I live in Harrisburg, right? And it's the state capital in Pennsylvania. A lot of Steelers fans. And they have not won a playoff game since 2016. Now, do I think Steelers fans are a little bit spoiled? Yeah, I do. Yeah. I mean, it's not like it's not your birthright to win Super Bowls just because you grew up in Western PA, However, that being said, they're tired of Tomlin. I mean, I know a lot of Steelers fans that wanted to lose that game on Sunday night. They wanted Luke for the Ravens to make the field goal so that Tomlin would leave. And they acknowledge he's a good coach. They acknowledged that he would get hired right away by somebody else, but they felt like it was time. And that's how a lot of Browns fans felt, right or wrong. I think Stefanski is a really good coach, and I think he will get hired somewhere else. But I do think there's something to that message getting stale and needing new blood. Harbaugh in Baltimore was going the wrong direction. A couple of years ago, they were the #1 seed, and they lost in the conference championship game to the Ravens, to the Chiefs. Last year, they lost in the divisional round. This year, they didn't even make the playoffs. I mean, imagine having Lamar Jackson, and he's won 3 playoff games.
Yeah.
I mean, Flacco won 10. Harbaugh won 3 times, over 3 times many playoff games with Flacco as he's won with Lamar Jackson. Lamar very easily could have been the MVP last year, which means he could have had the same number of MVP awards as playoff wins, playoff victories.
Yeah,
so the dynamic going on with you guys in Cleveland and Stefanski, that's not unique to you. That is very common when you talk about national perspective and people who realize, hey, it's pretty impressive that Stefanski was coach of the year twice, and twice he got the Browns to the playoffs when this happened and that happened and they weren't getting great, whatever, right? But for you guys in Cleveland, you're like, hey, we just watched every game in the last 2 years. They haven't been able to do anything. They're not improving. What are you talking about? How great of a coach can he be? Totally get that. Same with Steelers fans. They're sick of being 9-8. They're sick of being 10-7. They'd almost rather have a terrible year and get a top 5 quarterback and feel like they have a legitimate chance. Because even now, they're happy they won the division. They're happy they have a home playoff game. But they don't really think that they're going to go very far. This year actually gives them a little bit of hope because there's no Mahomes, there's no Burrow, there's no Lamar Jackson. So I think that, they don't want to admit it, but they're thinking maybe they have a chance, to do something here, but probably not.
Yeah, fair.
Ross, I played for Harbaugh for a year in Philly,
prior to him taking the Baltimore job. I loved my time that I spent with him, and to this day, I mean, like I ran into him a few years ago on the sidelines of a Browns game, and he remembered stories from back when I played, like 20 years ago. You know, he's a great guy, great coach. I would love him to be in Cleveland. I don't think it'll happen, but if you're the Browns, can you pitch something to Harbaugh? And if you're Harbaugh, what would you accept in Cleveland? There's a shot.
Oh my gosh, that is incredible! Look how big your shoulder pads were. You're playing corner.
Huge. Hey,
Ross, you played in 06. You know what it was like.
Them 2000s pads was different, and don't put a cowboy collar on, boy.
That is funny. Here's the pitch. Here's the pitch. Like, I'll pretend I'm Jimmy Haslam.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Hey, John, you played against us twice this year. You saw we had by far the best rookie class in the NFL. So what does that mean? That means we've got very inexpensive future stars at positions like tight end, linebacker, not even future stars. They might already be. Also, as you know, with the trade we made with the Jags, we have a couple first-round picks. We're going to let you help pick our next quarterback, whether that's a veteran to compete with Shedeur Sanders, whether you like somebody in the draft. And you know what else we have, John, that most people don't have? We have low expectations, and we have a chance for you to get back at the Ravens. You know, for the Ravens to fire you after 18 years with everything that you did for them, how great would it be for you to come here and turn Cleveland into the beast of the AFC North, stick it to the Ravens, stick it to Lamar Jackson, who it seems like maybe you guys don't get along that well. And how many games have we won here in Cleveland the last 2 years? 7, 8? You know fully well, John, with the type of coach you are, you're going to be able to come in and win 7 or 8 games in year one. You're going to be a hero because you're going to make the Browns competitive again for the first time in 3 years. And after that, the sky will be the limit.
It's a good pitch.
Great pitch.
It's a great pitch.
Yeah.
I would think, though, Ross, that he would also obviously have to pay a crazy amount of money, which Jimmy is not afraid to do. I credit him for that. I would also think Harbaugh's not taking the job unless Andrew Berry's fired or moved to a position where he's not picking players. What do you say about that?
I'm not sure about that. I don't know how Harbaugh feels about Andrew Berry. I think that's a possibility, but they kind of have the Sashi Brown was there with Andrew, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Did Sashi Brown hire Andrew? I can't remember.
Oh,
I don't remember. Did he? I can't remember.
Or maybe he came after him. Yeah. At any rate, Andrew Berry, I know a lot of you guys don't want to hear this, but I do think he's held in pretty high regard by a lot of people. Harbaugh obviously came from Philly with Howie Roseman and that whole deal, which is where Andrew Berry came from. Yep. So you might be right. You know, there's a chance, whether it's Cleveland or the New York Giants, that Harbaugh has enough juice that he can get the team to move on from the GM. I mean, he's going to have a number of suitors. So if you're him, unless he loves Joe Shane or loves Andrew Berry, if you have the chance to kind of pick the guy you're going to work with, then yeah, I mean, if you have that leverage and that power, then do it. But, you know, on some level, I think when you see what Andrew Berry did over the past year or so, I don't know. I mean, the Travis Hunter trade looks pretty darn good. The draft class looks pretty darn good. Maybe you want to Andrew Berry to have one more year and then move on from him.
Sorry, Ross, but he's been here 6 years. You got no quarterback, no wide receivers, and no offensive linemen. That's on him too.
Fair. Big swing and miss on the quarterback. I think the receivers, there's not like the Judy contract's a bad contract. I mean, you know, it's funny because they had nobody. So Judy was the best guy they could get. Judy was the best guy they had. They needed to have somebody. And so they have treated Judy like a number one when he's really probably a high end 2.
This year worse than that.
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah. I think Judy would look a lot better on the books if you didn't have to depend on him as a number one. I do think that. Yeah. Speaking of quarterbacks, we talked about it. You mentioned either bringing somebody in to compete or if you're going to draft a quarterback. What do you make of Shedeur Sanders and his development throughout the year, from his first start to the last start, and where do you think the Browns' idea and what the thought process is on what they want to see from him in the evaluation moving forward in terms of what they believe they need at quarterback?
Right now, what pick do the Browns have?
6.
Yeah, I think I would be inclined, depends on the head coach, obviously, but I would be inclined to go with a veteran and keep Shedeur as my young guy, developmental guy to compete with that veteran. You know, I'm not convinced that a quarterback that they would draft would necessarily be better than Shedeur, especially if he gets reps in the offseason. But you can't just go with Shedeur. I mean, you know, I wouldn't take Ty Simpson from Alabama over Shedeur. I think Dante Moore, I probably would. I think if Dante Moore entered the draft, the problem is I don't think he'd go till 6. I think Dante Moore would go number 2 to the Jets.
Yeah.
The Raiders taking Mendoza 1. He probably, you know, as a player, reminds Brady of himself. I think if Dante Moore turns pro, which he should, he'll go number 2 to the Jets. I'm not drafting another guy if I'm the Browns. I'm bringing in a veteran one way or the other, have them compete if that's the case with Shedeur Sanders. And then if that doesn't work out, then take my quarterback chance in 2027 in that draft. I'm not like forcing the 3rd quarterback in this draft.
What are your thoughts? Now, I think Andrew Berry said as of today, he believes Deshaun Watson will be on this roster. As a veteran option, what are your thoughts on Deshaun Watson? Do you think he's finished? Do you think he's washed? Do you think he has something left? Or do you think he'll still be on the roster and they'll go get somebody else?
That's an interesting one, too, as it relates to, you know, whoever the new head coach would be. So this is always the thing I think is so interesting with these head coaching interviews. Do they, let's say I was getting interviewed by the Browns. Mm-hmm. Do I go in there and tell them what I really think? Or do I go in there and tell them what I think they want to hear?
Yeah.
And then, by the way, what do they want to hear? Do they want to hear a guy come in there and say, listen, I can make it work with Deshaun Watson, or I think Shedeur Sanders showed enough that with me, I think he'll be a winning quarterback next year? Or do they want the guy to come in and say, I don't want Watson or Shedeur. Let me get Mac Jones. Let me get Kirk Cousins, you know, whoever, right? I'm just making up names at this point. That's one of the most interesting dynamics to me in head coach interviews is, do they want you to really tell you what they think, or do they want you to tell them what you want to hear? And then if you're the head coach candidate, what do? Do you tell them what you really think, or do you tell them what you think they want? Do you try to find out behind the scenes, you know, what they really want you to say, and then you say that? And by the way, what do you guys want the Browns to say? What do people in Cleveland want at the quarterback position?
I think it's mixed.
It's mixed.
It's mixed on Shedeur. I think most people are done with Deshaun Watson, I would say.
Yeah, most people don't believe that Deshaun Watson has any Sam Darnold in him. I think they're a little soured on it. I think they're soured on the contract, the money. Now,
I think they should just cut him and take the cap hit and live with it.
I can't take the cap hit. I'm gonna let him hang around. I need to fill my roster. As long as he don't do nothing crazy, he can sit there and look. Maybe I'm a fool, but I didn't see Baker Mayfield resurrect his career. I never thought Sam Darnold would be where he is today. I'm not going to say it's a guarantee that Deshaun Watson is going to be some sort of great quarterback. He's had a lot of injuries, and it's been years since we seen him in Houston. It's been years. So I don't know, but Would anybody be intrigued by a guy who, in his prime, was considered a top 3 or 5 quarterback at one point? Sure, there might be, but I don't think that's a likelihood.
I think, Ross, when it comes to Shedeur, unfortunately, people have taken their sides and picked their camps on Shedeur, when the reality is kind of what you said, and I'm in that reality. It's like, I've seen enough that I'd be interested in seeing more if there's not a clear, better option, but I clearly haven't seen enough that I'm sure he's the guy. So I would want to have competition for him and then see how it goes.
It's actually exactly where you don't want to be.
That's true.
Know?
Yes.
You want to. You wish he would have either played so well that you knew he was the guy and
Right.
everybody's on board, like Tyler Shuck, by the way, in New Orleans.
Yep.
Or you wish that he would have. I'm not going to say you wish he would play badly, but it'd be nice if it was clearer, that if he had really just been awful, then I think everybody would agree, okay, move on. Instead, he's kind of in that middling area, which makes it a little bit tougher, and people can, like you said, pick their sides. Although I will say this, right or wrong, there are people that will tell you that if you feel like I do or you feel like Bull does, that already tells you all you need to know.
Maybe so.
Like if you're not sure or you have a decent amount of doubt whether or not he's your guy, then you have to go out and try to get somebody that is your guy. Because if you don't have conviction about it that he is your guy, then he's not.
Hey, I meant to bring this up on the show yesterday. I'm going to ask Ross this question because I watched the game on Sunday. Everyone's talking about like the Sam Darnold. Who's the next Darnold? Who's the next Geno Smith or one of these quarterbacks that can revive their career? Boy, Trubisky looked good on Sunday.
Oh, boy.
What's going to happen with that dude? Is he an option for the Browns or for somebody else to be a starter?
I don't think so.
No?
I think
Throwing a name out there.
no.
Man. I
think
three touchdown
it's
passes
not
against the
outside
Jets.
the realm of possibility. And Darnold, it was his third team in San Francisco, kind of rehabbed him. His fourth team is when he played well, the Vikings. Baker Mayfield, it was his third team, the Rams, that kind of rehabbed him. Yep. His fourth team, the Bucks, that he started to excel with. So Trubisky went Chicago, Pittsburgh. Now he's in Buffalo. I mean, maybe. I don't know that one game is enough.
Against the worst team in football.
Someone's going to really give him that shot is the issue.
I'm not saying someone's going to sign him to a huge contract. I'm just saying like maybe it's an opportunity. You spent 2 years behind the best quarterback in football.
He is local. He's a Cleveland kid.
Dude, I mean, we're in no position to write off anything.
Hey, man.
Fair enough.
Hey, man. If we're going to take Mr. Trubisky, I've seen Shedeur Sanders throw for 360.
There you go. Last thing. Yeah, it's true. Last thing, Ross, before you go. Your favorite coaching candidates that you've heard out there, besides obviously Stefanski and Harbaugh?
That's a good question. Probably Jesse Minter with the Chargers.
Wow.
That's interesting. Okay.
He's
like
pretty
Chris Shula?
impressive.
What about Chris Shula?
And what they've done. Yeah, I don't know Chris. I've talked with Jesse a couple of times. I don't know Chris. I mean, he's done a nice job as well. But I think Jesse Minter is one that, it sounds like Minter is the hottest of the coordinator candidates, is how I would describe it.
Interesting. Ross, thank
I
you,
also
man.
think, like,
Go ahead.
there's a decent chance Robert Saleh gets a job.
Yeah, I like him. Yeah.
Because the Jets are an organization where it's almost like it doesn't count what you do there,
That's true. I love Flores. I love Flores. I don't think it's going to end up with him here, but I love him.
No, it sounds like he's going to the Raiders with Brady.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Ross. We appreciate it.
Appreciate
as always.
it.
Great stuff.
All right, see you guys.
Later, Ross.